After a boat crash during a storm, a woman named Jennifer Remming is washed ashore on a desolate, uninhabitable island. Struggling to catch her breath, she spits out water and notices the body of her friend Brad, who has also been washed onto the island. Rushing to his side to help him, she discovers that he is gravely injured. Terrified, Jennifer desperately calls out for help, trying to reach her boyfriend, Lucas, but her efforts prove futile. Determined, she pulls Brad out of the water and attempts to treat his wounds. She removes a rock lodged in his abdomen, causing him to cough in immense pain. Brad tries to warn her about something, but she fails to understand. Jennifer then runs deep into the island in search of fresh water. She finds a coconut, splits it open with a rock, and carefully carries the water back to Brad, pouring it into his open mouth. To her dismay, Jennifer soon realizes that Brad has succumbed to his injuries. Left alone and stranded, Jennifer decides to explore the island. She stumbles upon an abandoned camp, seemingly left by a previous inhabitant. While inspecting a bag, she discovers that the island's last occupants departed in the 1990s. Rummaging through the camp, she finds a water cooler, some beverages, and various materials that could aid her survival. Suddenly, she hears a frightening sound behind her, only to realize it comes from the trunk of a fallen tree, where a wild bird is making noise. In the evening, Jennifer covers Brad's corpse with palm leaves and looks around desperately for help, finding nothing but the surrounding water. During the night, amidst heavy rain, she uses coconut shells to collect fresh rainwater while struggling to stay warm under a palm tree. By morning, Jennifer notices fresh fish washed ashore. As she gathers some into her bag, she is startled to discover a dead shark with deep, terrible scratches, leaving her to wonder what might be lurking beneath the water. She moves on to prepare a meal. Feeling lonely, Jennifer retrieves her journal from the backpack, only to find that all her entries have been ruined by water. She gazes at a photo of herself and her boyfriend, Lucas, taken during a Halloween festival celebration, sinking into deep thought about him. Determined to distract herself, Jennifer decides to explore the island further. During her exploration, she discovers 3 graves, sparking curiosity about who might have buried them, since the island shows no signs of other survivors. Returning to the shore, Jennifer becomes unsettled by the smell of Brad's corpse. She moves his body away from the shoreline, digs a small handmade grave in the sand, and buries him. She covers the grave with palm leaves and marks the site with a log bearing Brad's initials. In the evening, she forages materials to build a shelter and smokes a fish for dinner, ending yet another lonely day on the island the following morning. While walking along the shore, Jennifer is shocked to find Brad's grave empty. She realizes something has dug him out and devoured him, just like the dead shark she discovered earlier. Understanding the growing threat, Jennifer takes action by crafting a sharp spear from a stone for self-defense. That evening, she builds a bonfire and keeps the spear close at hand. During the night, she awakens to a noise coming from the darkness and watches anxiously as the sound seems to echo near the flickering fire. In the morning, Jennifer spots a floating object far out in the ocean. She swims toward it and grabs it, discovering it is a suitcase. While in the water, she notices a strange dark hole at the ocean floor. Frightened by what she has seen, she quickly returns to the shore with the suitcase. Upon opening it, she finds a pair of shoes and some fresh clothes to change into. Later that night, she decides to open the box she had taken from the camp. Inside, she discovers a matchbox and photographs of the island's early inhabitants. Jennifer is distracted by the sound of a plane overhead. Overcome with excitement, she cries out for help and fires a flare into the sky. Unfortunately, the plane continues flying away, oblivious to her presence. As the flare illuminates the surroundings, it reveals a giant male monster emerging from the ocean and moving toward the shore. Terrified, Jennifer flees and takes refuge deep in the jungle. Hearing the monster's heavy footsteps drawing closer, Jennifer stays perfectly still and silent, managing to survive the night undetected. At dawn, she returns to the shore and examines the family photos of the early inhabitants. To her shock, She notices the monster's eyes captured in one of the photos. Terrified for her life, Jennifer devises a plan to escape. She begins constructing a makeshift raft using the suitcase and life jackets. She decides to test the raft, but as she jumps onto it, the suitcase flips over, causing the entire structure to fail. Frustrated and disappointed, she dismantles everything. That evening, Jennifer chooses to hide inside the hollow trunk of a tree to survive another night. As darkness falls, the monster returns to the shore. Hearing its heavy footsteps and terrifying roars, Jennifer stays silent and motionless in her hiding spot. However, the monster catches her scent and begins shaking the tree trunk where she is concealed. Overcome with fear, Jennifer cries out in terror, but fortunately, she manages to survive the ordeal, marking her 5th day on the island. In the morning, Jennifer emerges from her night shelter and catches small fish from a pond using her hands. She crushes the fish and uses them as bait to catch a larger fish for lunch. Her efforts pay off, and she is overjoyed when she manages to trap a shark. At night, she hangs the shark on a rope as bait for the monster and hides in a strategic spot to observe it. Unfortunately, exhaustion overtakes her, and she falls asleep, missing the moment when the monster takes the hanging shark. Surviving another night, Jennifer begins sharpening her spear when she spots a floating object in the water. Curious, she moves to investigate and is horrified to discover it is the corpse of her cruel bowmate, Zach. Jennifer pulls Zach's body out of the water and notices severe wounds on his face. She removes the life jacket and hangs the body on a rope as bait for the monster, hoping it will help her survive another night. From her shelter, she watches Zach's body closely as night falls. This time, the monster approaches and comes dangerously close to her hiding spot. Hearing its deafening roars, Jennifer holds her breath in terror to avoid detection. The monster feasts on Zach's body without noticing her, allowing her to survive yet another night. Marking the 7th day on the island, Jennifer decides to craft a hammock in the treetops using old tarpaulin and ropes as part of her survival strategy on the deserted island. As night falls, she is awakened by the sound of rain and thunder. Looking down from her hammock, she suddenly notices the monster wandering on the ground below. Paralyzed with fear, she remains motionless, hiding in the hammock. However, the monster grabs the ropes and violently shakes the hammock, causing her to fall. Acting quickly, Jennifer grabs her spear and sprints toward the shore. To her horror, the monster leaps into the water and chases her at a terrifying speed. Suddenly, the monster leaps out of the water and lands directly in front of her. Acting on instinct, Jennifer stabs it with a sharp stick. Enraged, the creature throws her to the ground and kicks her towards the shore before retreating back into the ocean. Bruised and shaken, Jennifer climbs back into the treetops and endured the remaining hours of the night. In the morning, she tends to her wounds. While changing her clothes, she is surprised to spot a floating raft in the distance. Swimming towards it, she is shocked to find her boyfriend and their boatmate, Mia, aboard the raft. Filled with relief and agony, Jennifer helps pull the raft ashore and embraces Lucas, who reassures her that everything will be okay. Later, Jennifer serves them smoked fish as they marvel at the beauty of the island. She shares her discoveries about the family that once lived there and the belongings they left behind. Meanwhile, Jennifer warns them about the dangers of the island, urging them to prepare to leave as soon as possible. She explains the terrifying presence of the monster that emerges from the ocean, walks on land, and drags its prey back into the sea. Jennifer describes the mysterious black hole she saw at the bottom of the ocean. However, Lucas, seemingly unconcerned and skeptical about the monster, dismisses her fears and urges her to calm down. Determined to convince them, Jennifer explains that Zach was taken and eaten by the same monster. She shows them the photographs of the family who once lived on the island, pointing out the unmistakable eyes of the monster in one of the images. Despite Jennifer's efforts to convince them, both Lucas and Mia decide to stay on the island and wait for rescue. After some thought, Jennifer confides in Mia about her boyfriend Brad's death, explaining how the monster dragged him into the black hole. Overwhelmed with emotion, Mia walks away in tears. Jennifer then shares with Lucas how she had buried Brad deep in the ground, only for the creature to unearth him, leaving behind traces of its black blood. Later, as they sit in despair by the shore, Mia opens up to Jennifer about the helplessness she felt while trapped on the raft. Facing death in the middle of the ocean, Jennifer suggests to Lucas that they should sail west, following the direction of the plains, as there might be a possibility of finding human civilization there. Mia pleads with Lucas to trust Jennifer, but he remains stubborn and unwilling to comply. Jennifer borrows a key holder from Lucas and, upon examining it, discovers dried blood on the knife, which raises her suspicions about the duo. Determined, she prepares bait and gathers enough food to last a week. However, Lucas and Mia reveal that they are not ready to leave the island. Exhausted and weakened, they insist they need more time to recover before attempting any journey. Mia insists that there is no monster on the island, and instead suggests building a large fire to attract the plane's attention. Jennifer, however, urges them to leave before nightfall, but Lucas refuses to head to the raft. Disappointed and frustrated, Jennifer walks away and goes for a cold swim to clear her mind. During this time, she devises a plan to escape the island alone. Quietly, she begins packing all the supplies she might need for the journey. Jennifer pushes the raft into the ocean, attempting to escape without the others. Mia spots her, and both she and Lucas rush to stop her. As Jennifer tries to climb onto the raft, Lucas grabs her. In the struggle, she kicks Mia, causing her to fall into the water. Furious, Mia retaliates by hitting Jennifer within, or as she wrestles with Lucas. Jennifer regains consciousness in the middle of the night, tied to a palm tree to prevent her from trying to escape again. Mia tries to reassure her, saying there's no need to worry since they haven't seen anything unusual since nightfall. Mia apologizes to Jennifer for hitting her in the face and assures her she has been keeping watch over the area. Shortly after, Lucas returns and reports that he hasn't encountered any threats nearby. Mia decides to take a walk along the shore alone, leaving Lucas and Jennifer behind. Lucas expresses his frustration with Jennifer, accusing her of always attracting chaos wherever she goes. He scolds her for attempting to take the raft and abandon him to die on the island. Jennifer, staying calm, reminds him that this is not the time for such arguments. She warns him that the real danger lies in the water, not the jungle. She emphasizes that the monster will soon come for him, tear him apart, and drag him into the ocean, just as it had done to others before. Mia leaves the couple and walks along the shore, where she stumbles upon a piece of fish bone, leaving her terrified. Moments later, she lets out a chilling cry for help. Lucas grabs a torch and rushes to her aid, leaving Jennifer tied up. When Lucas reaches the scene, he finds the sea monster attacking Mia, who is already injured. He strikes the monster with a burning piece of wood, but it overpowers him, pushing him to the ground. Meanwhile, Jennifer frees herself and runs to rescue them. Despite her efforts, the monster drags Mia into the water as Lucas watches helplessly. Jennifer quickly pulls Lucas to his feet, and together, they flee into the forest, where they manage to survive their 9th night on the island. The following morning, Jennifer reassures Lucas that the monster doesn't appear during the day, urging him not to be afraid. As they share breakfast, Lucas is overcome with guilt for not heeding Jennifer's warnings earlier and blames himself for Mia's death. Determined to leave the island, Jennifer gathers enough food for their escape. They load their essential supplies onto the raft and push it into the water, climbing aboard to begin their voyage. As they set off, Jennifer notices a red substance on the raft, sparking suspicion about Lucas and what might have truly happened. Before she can question him, Lucas notices unusual movements beneath the water. Moments later, the Sea Reaper emerges and launches a ferocious attack on the raft. They lock themselves into the raft, but the monster relentlessly attacks from all sides. Eventually, the Reaper breaches the raft from beneath, reaching inside and attempting to grab Jennifer. Terrified, she kicks it away in desperation. Lucas quickly grabs a flare pistol and fires at the creature, temporarily stunning it. Using a spear, he manages to push it back into the water. For a brief moment, there is silence. Suddenly, the Reaper resurfaces and pulls Jennifer from beneath the raft. It grips her tightly by the chest as she struggles to breathe, fighting against its overwhelming strength. The monster drags Jennifer towards the black hole, but she manages to pull out a pocket knife and stabs it in the abdomen. Black liquid oozes from the wound, and the creature releases her. To her horror, the monster shifts its focus to Lucas, dragging him towards the black hole. Helpless and gasping for air, Jennifer screams, but is unable to save him. She swims back to the shore, devastated. Once ashore, she rekindles the fire and decides to document her harrowing encounter with the sea creature. Writing in her diary, she recounts every detail of her experience, hoping it might someday aid any future survivors should the monster claim her life. Jennifer begins sharpening sticks and rocks, preparing herself for a final battle with the monster. She sets up several traps using wood and dry palm leaves and carefully plans her escape routes. In the early hours of the night, the monster returns, determined to hunt her down. Jennifer lures it into one of her traps and ignites it, engulfing the creature in flames. Seizing the moment, she attacks from behind, stabbing the monster before quickly taking cover, bracing for its retaliation. Using the same strategy repeatedly, the monster eventually catches on and strikes Jennifer to the ground. Undeterred, she rises courageously and stabs it again in the already wounded area. Grabbing a piece of wood, she strikes the monster on its head, enraging it further. The creature seizes her, holding her by the head, but she fights back fiercely, stabbing it multiple times. In pain, the monster throws her aside. Jennifer sprints towards the shores with the monster in pursuit. To her surprise, the creature collapses from the severe blood loss. Without hesitation, and with fearless determination, Jennifer decapitates the monster, letting out a victorious scream in disbelief and relief. Thanks for watching.